Hello folks, good morning. We're getting ready to start a new lesson, a new unit or a new section of our unit on elements of art. We're getting ready to start our Zentangle section, okay? And I really like Zentangles. So hopefully you kind of have a little understanding about what a Zentangle is because you've been on your PLP and you have read all about Zentangles and you've done the reading, okay? And it kind of looks like this a little bit. Alright, it has Zentangle up there at the top, made out of Zentangles, and I've uploaded that into your PLP. And it talks about our Zentangle objectives, which is to learn about what a Zentangle is, to learn and use some new vocabulary, including the words like tile, border, string, what Zentangle means, what the word tangle means, okay? And we're going to be making some new Zentangle artworks, and this video is going to get us started on that. If you came to the Google Meets today is Monday the 21st, then you may have already gotten started on a Zentangle tile. This is one of our tiles that we worked on today. This was what we worked on with the 8th grade class, and then this is what we worked on with the 7th grade class. Okay, so we're going to actually start one of those again today, and I'm going to take you step by step through that. Okay. And that's what I'm going to call our beginning basic Zentangle tile. So to do that, you're going to need these supplies that I have right here on the screen. You're going to need some white paper, you're going to need a pencil, and you're going to need a Sharpie, okay? Scissors would be nice if you have those, but if you don't have scissors, I'm going to show you another way that you can work using without the scissors, okay? Scissors are optional, but they are handy. And we're going to be using some of that Zentangle vocabulary. In your PLP, you'll also notice that there is a Zentangle vocabulary quiz that has been opened up for you as well. And that is for you to take after you do the reading. Okay? Then this video will come open today, and you will be able to follow along with this video to make your basic Zentangle tile. And then you should be able to submit. Take a photograph of your Zentangle tile and submit it for a grade. Alright? So let's get started. In the Zentangle reading, I do have listed two of my favorite websites that you can go to for Zentangle patterns. It is pattern-collections.com and tanglepatterns.com. For this video, we're going to be using my packet that I use for when we have internet or technology issues, or when a student can't use their Chromebooks, or, you know, back in the day when we didn't have Chromebooks. And this paper was provided by Miss Stephanie Gilbert at our high school, along with a little extra fourth page there for me. And sometimes with the students, I'll have you guys, you know, randomly pick a number between 1 and 4 for what page number we do, and then a number between 1 and 15 or 1 and 18, depending on the number of patterns. So today I'll probably just pick some of my favorite ones off these pages here for us to use. So to get started, make sure you have your supplies: white paper, pencil, Sharpie, optional scissors. Okay, I'm going to be doing this without the scissors. So the first thing that we need is our piece of white paper. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to get a nice square. A true Zentangle would be done using a 3.5 inches by 3.5 inch tile or piece of square paper, and it's usually a very nice thick quality paper. We're just using the copy paper that we gave to you. Okay, so we're going to get a nice small square, doing the best we can without a ruler and without a pair of scissors. So to do that, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold our paper in half like a book. We're going to take this bottom edge up here to this top edge. We're going to crease it and get it lined up edge to edge here as best we can. We're going to take our fingers and crease it. I had nice pretty nails here. I'd use one of my fingernails to crease that. Move this out of the way just a little bit. Alright. Okay, we're going to open this up, lay it flat. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to fold it back on itself on that same crease. And what I'm trying to do is just really weaken the paper here at this crease. Okay? If I had a pair of scissors, I would open this up and cut it along that edge. But since I don't, I'm opening it back up and folding it again on that crease. Just really trying to make sure that I crease it along that edge really nicely. Alright, I'm going to open it and lay it flat. And put one hand right here along this crease, and I'm going to very carefully rip this paper. Very carefully, very slowly. Rip this paper. Boom. Okay, I'm going to take one piece and lay it over to the side for right now. Okay, so now I have one half of this sheet of paper. Alright, now I'm going to take this top corner and I'm going to fold it down to this edge. So I want this to line up just right along this edge. Kind of reminds me of trying to fold an airplane. I'm going to crease it. This makes me think of like a house, a little half of a house or something. Alright, I'm going to crease that. Alright, turn this so it looks like this. Now this rectangular piece right here is the piece that we don't need. So I'm going to take this piece right here and I'm going to fold this down very carefully. I'm folding it right along that edge, okay? And I'm creasing it. Alright. I'm going to take it and fold it backwards on itself. And on that same edge I just folded. And I'm creasing it. Now, if I had a pair of scissors, I would unfold it and just right here along this crease, cut this off. But since I don't, I'm going to fold it again and crease it. I'm just really trying to weaken this paper here. Okay, I'm going to lay it flat like that. Open it up. And very carefully try to rip this off. There. Alright, I'm going to set that over to the side. A little extra piece right there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll wait until I have some scissors to cut that off. I'm going to open it up all the way and I should have a really nice square. Try to flatten it out the best I can. Okay, so now I have a nice square. It is bigger than a 3.5 by 3.5 inch square, but it's a nice square for us to use for our Zentangles. Okay, so now I'm going to get my pencil, and one of the first steps for a Zentangle is for us to put corner dots in there. So we're going to use our pencil and we're going to put some dots in our four corners. So about a pencil width apart, pen or pencil width apart, away from the edge. Okay, I'm going to put a dot. So I'm going to put one right here. Now I'm just going to turn my paper. I'm going to put one here. Now I'm just going to make sure I have a dot in all four corners. Alright. Now it's no longer a blank piece of paper. I've already started to have marks on my paper. Zentangle is good because for a beginner artist, it's about copying patterns. It's about fancy doodles, okay? For an experienced artist, it's good because it helps you focus on one thing. It helps with creativity block. You know how they talk about writer's block? Well, I think there is such thing as drawer's block or artist block. There'll be times where I will get frustrated because I know I want to draw or I want to paint, but I don't know what I want to draw or what I want to paint. So I'll stop and I'll just do a Zentangle. I'll just try to get the patterns out and just practice drawing with Zentangles, and I'll make something really creative, or I won't, but at least I've done some practicing. Okay, Zentangles help with concentration. They help with your attention span because you're focusing in on something. You're paying attention to this one thing in front of you and not being worried about everything else that's going around you. Art therapists will use a Zentangle in their business and to help their patients because of the attention span, but also because if you're focused in on this one thing, then you're less likely to worry about whatever's bothering you. It helps treat phobias. It helps with anxiety. It helps with worry. It helped me at the beginning of all this COVID stuff that was happening because I was getting very stressed out with everything that was going on, and I was so worried about, what happens if one of us catch it? What happens if, my husband gets it or my daughter gets it, or what am I going to do, if this happens or if this happens, and all of this what if that you can't control. So one thing I could control was me sitting down and concentrating on just working on my art, just doing these patterns. So Zentangle really helps with those kinds of things, okay? It can help with anger issues because you are concentrating on this instead of what's making you angry, okay? It also helps with problem solving because after a while here, you're going to see that we're going to stop using a pencil and we're going to have to use Sharpie. So if you make a mistake, you're going to have to problem solve and figure out and creative think your way into, okay, what am I going to do if I make a mistake? How am I going to fix this? Okay? So there are some benefits to using Zentangles. All right. So now that we've got our corner dots, and now that I've talked about why I really love this, let's talk about our next step, which is going to be to create a border. And a border is kind of like the frame to your picture, okay? The frame to your picture, the outside outer edge. So we got to connect these 4 dots. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit here with my camera. So zoom in. So give it just a few minutes and it will, just like in class, it'll focus. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to connect this dot to this dot and that dot to that dot. You get the idea of connecting the dots here. All right, so we're going to start. Now, the border can be all the same line all the way around. It could be a wavy line. It could be a curvy line. It could have some loops in it. It could be a zigzag line. It could be different on each side, okay? Or it could be the same on this side and this side, and the same on this side and this side, okay? I like to do a little bit of different. So I'm going to do kind of straight, and then I'm going to put some zigzags in here. And then when I get to this side, I think I'm going to put some curves in here. Just make something a little different. You're just trying to make it hit one dot and hit the next dot. Alright. I think this time I'm going to go back to zigzags again. I think I'm going to go back to some curves just to give it some things that's the same. So there is my border. Now, your border does not have to look like mine. In fact, it would be more interesting if your border doesn't look exactly like mine, okay? And my border never looks the same. Every time I do this, my border looks different. Even when sometimes I try to make it look the same, it looks different, okay? But yours could be straight, zigzaggy, curved, wavy, etc. All right. The next step to creating a Zentangle is what they call a string. And I think they call it a string because it almost looks as if you could just lay a string randomly down on your paper. Okay. But a string is usually a pencil line drawn very lightly, and it's a line that kind of separates this big open space into several different sections. Okay. So it's a light pencil line or lines that's going to separate this tile or this section of your tile into sections. And I like it when it kind of reminds me of like the letter Z or the letter N, okay? So I'm going to start on one side, so I'm going to start right here. And again, this line can be curvy, it can be straight, it can be zigzag, or it could be a mix of them. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to have some loop-de-loops in here. Not too many, but I'm going to have some. And I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go all the way up to the top. All right. And then I'm going to kind of zigzag back down through the middle. And then I'm going to wave my way this way. Ta-da! There's my string. Alright, so I looped up to the top. I think I'm going to make it go all the way up here and touch this top piece too. There we go. I looped up to the top, I zigzagged back down to the bottom, and then I waved myself over here to the side. So I've broken my Zentangle tile up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little different sections here. You may have 4, you may have 5, you may have a few more. In fact, I think I may put a few more in here. I may put one more, bring my string into here just so that I don't have this big giant piece right here. Bring it into a loop and back out. Alright, it's more like a string like that too. Alright, so those are called strings because they separate our tile into different sections. Alright, so there's what our tile is looking like so far. Again, tile, piece of paper that we're working on. Okay, now comes the more fun part, the tangle part. In Zentangle, tangle means it can be a noun or it can be a verb. It can be both, okay? Just like the word dance can be both, okay? Dance means the action or the verb of dancing. I'm dancing. Yeah, I'm dancing. Or it can be the noun, which means like I want to go to the dance, okay? So tangle is both. Tangle is the pattern or the design that you are creating, or it can be I want to tangle, meaning I want to make the marks or the drawing part of it, okay? So at this point, we put our pencil down and we put it over to the side, and we grab our trusty Sharpie, okay? So Sharpie, here we go. Now, we gave you a new Sharpie, so you should have a decent point on the end of it, okay? Even if we gave you a thick or the fine point Sharpie, you should still have a nice ending on it. So you want to be careful, and you kind of want to protect that point of your Sharpie, all right? All right, so we're going to use my trusty packet here. I'm going to start on page 1, and I'm going to start with number 1. Number 1 here is called Blue Bonnets. Blue Bonnets. And I think it's because it reminds the creator of this, whoever came up with this Zentangle pattern, of flowers. There are such things as blue bonnet flowers. Or if not, it's what it kind of reminds me of. So we're going to start with blue bonnets. So any section you would like, any one you want, I'm going to work in this top section right here. But you can start in any section you want. We're going to work with blue bonnets. So blue bonnet starts with lines, vertical lines, but instead of straight up, they're kind of at a curve. So we're going to curve these lines up like this. In that section. Alright. And this line looks like it comes down, and it would come over here a little bit. So I'm going to do like that with my loop. And then it looks like on one side, the next step is that it looks like it has, so I'm going to turn my paper a little bit because it's going to be easier if I turn my paper just slightly. It looks like it has little heels. It looks like it does like this. All up the side. Kind of like half of a heart. And all of these lines that I just drew. Notice I go from the top all the way up to the bottom, and if there's a loop or something in there, I kind of pretend and I skip and I come back down like it connects. Alright? The next step is you go on the other side, and it's like it forms the other half of the heart, or it has another line of hills, however you want to look at it. Now if I go too fast, you can always push pause, or you can stop the video while you're getting caught up. And I like to go back and outline the shape after I finish working on it. The last step that they do is it looks like they put little lines inside here, little short diagonal lines inside the heart. So inside here where I can, I'm going to put these little diagonal lines. Little tiny diagonal lines. Trying to use just the point of my marker carefully. And that is blue bonnet. Blue bonnets. Now if there's enough room in between here, you could do another row if you'd like, or you could just leave it be. I think I'm just going to leave it be. Sometimes I have a tendency to want to overdo things, so I'm going to leave that be. Alright, let's go in another area. I'm going to go to page 2. And let's try, there's one in here called Ian's Design. Check this out, Ian's Design right here. It's one I did with one of my earlier classes. I didn't think I was going to like it, and I ended up, I like it. So we're going to try Ian's Design. I don't know who Ian was. I don't know if he designed it or somebody else designed it for Ian. I'm not sure. So I'm going to outline this little section right here, because this is the section I want to do it in. Got a little bit off my line right there, but I don't think anybody else will even be able to tell that one, especially after I get working. So Ian's Design starts with bigger circles that are colored in black, spread all around, kind of like polka dots. And I'm going to have some fall off the page, so it looks like Ian's Design keeps going. Okay. Then it has medium-sized circles in between that. Now, if for some reason you don't have a Sharpie, you can be using a black marker for this as well. And then in between those circles, they have even smaller circles. And then in between those circles, they have dots. So very tiny dots. You barely have to touch the top of your paper with your Sharpie to leave a dot. You do not want to be pushing really hard to ruin the point of your Sharpie. And these dots do not touch. So try not to make them touch each other or touch your circles that you already have in there, which can get kind of hard. And there you have it, Ian's Design. Alright. On this page, I'm also going to do one that's called Feathers. Kind of reminds me of mermaid scales. Feathers. So I'm going to pick another spot. I'm going to pick right here, this big area that I have, right here. Okay, so Feathers starts out by doing upside down U's that touch. So I'm going to do a row of U's. Okay, and then my second row goes in the middle of the first one. See how that one comes up in the middle of that one, and ends in the middle of that one? Same way right here. Up, middle, down, up in the middle, down in the middle. Okay, then the next row starts in the middle, ends in the middle. And you just keep doing that until you fill up that whole space. Oops, I got all the lines right there, so I'm going to have to do something to fix that so nobody knows. Alright, I'm going to outline my shape. And remember, you can turn your Zentangle tile any way you need to. Alright, so to fix it, I'm just going to go like this. And nobody will ever know that originally my line was way back here. Ta-da! Nobody will ever know. Alright. Next set to feathers is inside of that they put a small line inside of here. In each one of these they put a smaller line. So that's what I'm going to do now. I should have picked a smaller area for this one. Goodness, this is a bunch. But again, remember, if you're trying one of these and then later on you're like, man, I really didn't like that one, or that one took too long, and when you do your initial art or your next Zentangle, you'll know, you know what, that feathers one was okay, but I didn't really like how big it looked or how long it took. Then that may be something that you go, if I do use that one again, I'll use it in a smaller area. I won't use it in a great big area. I do that a lot. I'll find one I like and use it in certain areas, or there may be one that I'm like, wow, I really like the way this one looks, but I don't want to use it in a big giant area anymore. I want to use it in a little baby area. Alright, after they did a little one, they then did, they did a thicker one. They did another one. So they went back in every one of these and did another one. Whoever designed this one took a lot of time with this one. So look cool as mermaid scales or fish scales. Even though it's called feathers. Because we're using such a big Sharpie too, sometimes you lose some of the details. Alright. Got a little black in there, but that'll be okay. Alright, so that's feathers. Okay, so now let's see what else we have. Okay, let's try, another one of my favorite ones is called basket weave. I love basket weave. Basket weave is one of those real easy ones, and it's really good to use in, could be used in big areas or it could be used in small areas. So I'm going to try it right here in this little section, okay? So basket weave. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of outline the area I'm working in. Just kind of remind me where to stay inside. So I'm going to use it in this little section right here. Okay. So I've got this little section here. Alright. So I'm going to do basket weave is supposed to make it look like something has been woven under and then over. Under and then over. So you do that by doing like this. You're going to do 3 lines this way, and then 3 lines next to it this way. Then 3 lines this way, 3 lines this way. 3 lines sideways, 3 lines up. 3 lines sideways, 3 lines up. 3 lines sideways. Now check this out. These 3 lines went up, so these 3 lines are going to go down, sideways. These 3 lines up, sideways. 3 lines up, sideways. Check right there. These lines are going sideways and these lines are going sideways, so these lines need to go up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways. See how that's working? Now you just fill in this whole section like that. Whoops, look what I did. I made a mistake right there. So what I'm going to do is just do this real quick and hope nobody else notices it. Oh, I did it again. I'm hoping nobody will notice those 2 little mistakes right there. Ta-da! It's done. Basket weave. I like it. Alright. Next I'm going to turn over to page number 3. And we're going to look at chain. Well, we've got link right here. Now let's do worms. Worms is kind of cool. Check it out. Number 12, worms. Worms is kind of cool. So we're going to do worms. I'm going to do worms in this big spot right here. Alright, so right here's my line. Worms, you start with one line, kind of a wavy line down the middle, okay? And then you make hills on one side, so like this. Kind of reminds me of blue bonnets in a way. Alright, and then you do the hills on the other side. But instead of making hearts, you're making kind of like circles. Okay, so see how those make circles down the middle? And then you go on this side and you just kind of mimic it. You just make curved lines coming up for where these circles meet, like this. And you do it again. Boom, boom, boom. And you do it again. Now, when I run into this loop, I have to kind of pretend, come down. Come up, come down, come up, come down. And I'm just going to pretend again. And you do the same thing on this side. You just kind of come like this. And you just keep making the big old circles until you run out of room. Oil. I'm going to color in this loop-de-loop I had, because if not, it makes my worms look weird. I'm going to go ahead and color in this loop-de-loop too. Oops. Nice if you could see what I was doing. Just coloring in my little loop-de-loops there so that you could see my loops. Alright, I got one last small area to do right there. One of my favorites is called printemps, which means French spirals. Printemps. And they're little tiny spiral lines. Little tiny spirals. So, I'm just going to take the very end of my Sharpie and I'm just going to make little spirals. This is good for a little section. I'm going to turn my paper.
Kelly Green, if you come see Miss Sparkle, please. Kelly Green, thank you.
Announcements, guys. It still happens even when you're not here. Alright. Little spirals. Alright. Now, the last step to this is you put your lid on your Sharpie and set it over to the side, and you're going to get your pencil. And you're going to add some shading in there, okay? Shade is when you add some value, and that's when you add some shades, some lights, and some darks. So, for example, for your worms, you're going to add some dark shade along where the circles meet, kind of right in here, with your pencil, and then you're going to use your finger and kind of blend it so that it's darker on the edges. and then it kind of gets lighter towards the middle. So it's darker along the edges, and then gets lighter towards the middle. And that's going to help give the effect, hopefully, that they're kind of cylindrical. It just kind of gives your Zentangle just a little more 3D-ness. Just be careful though, because you will get graphite on your fingers, and you don't want to like touch your face or anything like that, because then you might get it on your face and you might not realize it and have it on you. Alright. And again, I'm just putting a little bit of shade on the outside of the tubes. And just kind of rubbing them together. Alright. Anyway, let's
Coach Weston, can you contact the federal office, please? Coach Weston?
There we go.
Ms. Knight, I also need you to contact my office, Ms. Knight.
Alright. So we have some shade going on here. Okay. So guys, this is your Zentangle, and I'm being called. So the last thing I want you to do is I want you to initial your work, okay? So a lot of people will, and I was going to do it in pencil, but I think I want you to do it in Sharpie. Initial your work. I like to just sign it D-A-N-I, because one more initial, and I have my first name, and then some kind of little symbol. I like to do a little peace sign. And then I want you on the back in pencil to put your first name and your last name and your class. So if you're a 6th grader, you're going to put 2nd period. If you're a 7th grader, you're going to put 1st period. If you're an 8th grader, you're going to tell me if you're 3rd period, okay? All right? So that's how you're going to do this, and then you're going to submit this into your PLP by taking a picture of it and submitting your final Zentangle tile. And remember, yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Go to those 2 websites and get any Zentangle patterns that you like, okay? And I hope that you can follow this video, and I'm sorry about the interruptions. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, okay? Be safe, be well. Bye, guys.